The rain had been falling for hours when Detective Alina Varghese stepped into the abandoned farmhouse outside Grenton Hollow. The floorboards groaned under her boots, the scent of mildew and rotting wood heavy in the air. What was left of the crime scene had been scrubbed clean, no fingerprints, no blood spatter, no DNA. Just one thing had been left behind, tucked neatly beneath the corpse's folded hands. A child's drawing. Crude stick figures, a bright red sun, and a tall black shape looming over a small house. The me had called it creepy. Alina called it a message. She unfolded the plastic evidence bag again, frowning. The paper was old, really old, yellowed at the edges, like it had been drawn years ago, but the ink was fresh. "This isn't random," she muttered. "It's personal." Back at Grenton PD, she pinned the drawing to the board, surrounded by photos of the 3 identical murders. No weapon, no struggle, just peaceful-looking victims in different towns, each with an identical drawing placed on their chest. Then the phone rang. Detective Varghese, a hesitant voice said, "This is Principal Moan from Willow Ridge Elementary. There's a child here. She says she's seen that drawing before." A jolt ran through Alina's chest. "She what?" "She says it's hers, from years ago." Alina was already grabbing her coat when the principal added, "But there's something else. She says the man in the drawing used to visit her at night. She called him the Tall Father." Willowridge sat just 5 blocks from the farmhouse. Alina arrived within minutes and was led to a small room where a girl older than 7 sat, hugging a weathered backpack. Her eyes were wide and glassy, and she didn't speak until Alina sat down across from her. "You drew this?" Alina asked, showing the copy. The girl nodded once, then pointed. "He came back. He only comes when the lights flicker and Mommy forgets my name." Alina stared. "Who forgets your name?" "Everyone," the girl whispered. "That's why he picks them." Alina's phone buzzed. A new body. Same MO. But this one was in a city hundreds of miles away. The drawing, already waiting on the body. Impossible. She turned back to the girl. "How long ago did you draw this?" The girl shrugged. "I think before I was born." Alina froze. "That's not possible." But the child simply said, "That's what he tells me." A sharp knock cut through the silence. A patrol officer opened the door. "Detective, you need to see this." The girl's backpack. It's full of drawings. All of them. Different murders. All dated decades apart." Alina's breath caught as she followed him down the hall, and just before the door shut behind her, the girl's voice echoed, "You're next, aren't you?" The hallway lights flickered, and then went out. Alina's flashlight cut a thin beam through the pitch-black hallway as panic swept through Willow Ridge Elementary. A few teachers muttered in confusion behind closed doors, but none stepped out. The backup generator didn't kick in. Her instincts screamed, "This isn't a power outage, it's a warning." She turned back to the room. The child was gone. Not just missing, gone. The chair still warm, the backpack left untouched. But the air had shifted, as if someone or something had passed through. Outside, the rain had stopped. The world felt too still. As Alina reached her car, she saw a folded piece of paper tucked beneath her windshield wiper. Another drawing. This time, the tall figure loomed over a woman with short, black hair. Alina's hair. Behind her was a house in flames. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she opened the evidence files from an unsolved case buried deep in her department's archives. A woman found dead in 1993, hands folded, same drawing, Victim Anna Varghese. Her mother, Alina, had always been told it was a car accident. She stared at the autopsy photo. It wasn't a car crash. It was staged, just like the others. Why would they lie? She called her estranged father, the man who disappeared from her life when she was 6. "I need answers," she said, when he finally answered. "About Mom, about him." There was a long silence on the other end. Then her father said, "You should have left this alone. She's speaking to you now. It's too late." She who? But the call ended. Maddened by the new lead, Alina visited an old woman in a care facility, Mara Eston, a former FBI sketch analyst who once claimed a serial killer was using artwork to communicate between murders. Her theories got her discredited and institutionalized. "Do you still believe it?" Alina asked. "That the killer's communicating through the drawings?" Mara's hands trembled as she passed Alina a dusty folder. Inside were dozens of sketches from cases never released to the public. Every one featured the same towering figure. "He's not a man," Mara whispered. "He's a memory, a story we buried and forgot." But she didn't. Who is she? The girl, the one who draws him into this world. He needs her, but she's breaking away. That's why the drawings are getting clearer. Alina scanned one particular sketch that made her blood run cold. It showed a woman walking down a hallway, her exact posture, her coat, the flickering light behind her. It was her from earlier that day. "How could you have drawn this?" Mara looked up, eyes glossy. "I didn't. She mailed it to me yesterday." Alina's phone buzzed again. A new victim. But this time the killer had left something else. A tape recorder. When she pressed play, a voice distorted, but unmistakably. That of the girl spoke calmly. "He wants your story to end like hers. The fire's already started. Run." Alina looked up. Smoke curled under the doorframe. Wait, what just happened? Flames licked the walls of the Willow Ridge evidence storage unit before firefighters could fully contain the blaze. The source? Arson. But there were no prints, no signs of forced entry, just one thing left unburned inside a fireproof locker: the little girl's backpack. Inside, all the drawings were gone except one new addition, a page depicting Alina asleep in her bed, a shadowy figure standing over her, its fingers stretched long, impossibly long, reaching for her throat. Scrawled beneath it in shaky crayon, "Tonight, Alina didn't go home." Instead, she checked into a hotel under a false name, room 317. She barely slept. Gun by her side, every creak and groan of the building making her heart pound. At 3:17 a.m., the room phone rang. "Don't turn around," the girl's voice said softly. Alina froze. "Where are you?" "I tried to warn them," she whispered. "But they keep forgetting, like Mommy, like your partner." Alina stood slowly, every instinct telling her not to look at the mirror. But she did. Her reflection wasn't alone. A tall, dark figure stood behind her, but only in the mirror. She spun. Nothing. The room was empty. The next morning, she returned to HQ. Her partner, Detective Ron Kesley, stared at her like a stranger. "Who are you supposed to be?" he asked. Alina blinked. "Ron, it's me." But he didn't recognize her, didn't know her name, didn't even recall working with a Detective Varghese. Everyone at the precinct looked through her. "Wait. What just happened?" she muttered. Only one person acknowledged her presence, an elderly janitor with foggy eyes and trembling hands. He pressed a folded piece of paper into her palm. "He's peeling you out of the story. Ma'am, you're being unwritten. She unfolded the page. Another drawing, this time, a blank-faced figure in a police precinct, surrounded by faceless people. Alina's own outline was beginning to fade. She rushed to a contact in forensics, Dr. Myria Chen, someone she'd worked with before the case. You remember me, right? Chen squinted. You look familiar, but your name's not in the database. You're not assigned to any cases. Alina grabbed her phone and showed old photos of them working together. Mariah shook her head slowly. Those aren't on my phone. I've never taken these. A notification pinged. The audio tape from the last murder scene had been decoded further. The analyst had isolated a second voice behind the girl's whisper, warped but audible. Let her forget, one memory at a time. Alina clutched the backpack, the last anchor she had to the girl. She opened the lining, hoping for something. She missed. Inside, buried deep beneath the fabric, she found it, a Polaroid. Two little girls, side by side. One was the girl from Willow Ridge, the other was Alina. Her vision swam. An emotional memory surged her as a child, clutching crayons, crying while a shadow fell over her nursery. Her mother screaming, then silence. Alina had forgotten. She was the original witness, and the tall father had been with her all along. A new drawing fell from the photo, one she hadn't seen before. The girl stood alone now, her back turned to Alina, and in the sky above her, the words, choose her or lose yourself. One of you stays, one of you goes. Then came the knock on the door. The girl was standing there, but her eyes were pitch black. Alina staggered back as the girl stepped into the hallway. Her eyes twin voids, expression blank, as if something ancient was watching through her. The hallway lights buzzed and dimmed, colors draining from the walls until everything looked washed in sepia, like the world was becoming another one of the girl's drawings. You don't belong here anymore, the girl said, not with her voice, but through it, like a ventriloquist with a soul. Alina pressed her back against the cold wall. Why me? Why us? Because memory is a doorway, the girl said, and some doors were never meant to stay open. Then came the sirens, loud, wailing, real. The color snapped back into the world as emergency responders swarmed the building. Someone had called in a bomb threat to Willow Ridge Elementary. Time was ticking. Alina ran with the responders, flashing a badge no one could see. She knew somehow that this was his next move. She raced past confused officers and teachers, straight to room 108. People, parents, children, teachers, sleep in their chairs. Above them, the tall father stretched across the sky like a spiderweb, dripping ink. In the corner, written in backwards, childlike script, if they don't remember themselves, he draws their ending. Alina tore it from the board. On the back was a crude map leading to a storage room beneath the old wing of the school. Long condemned after a fire in 1996, she and a bomb tech descended the stairwell. There, nestled beneath the floorboards, wasn't a bomb, but a trunk full of old artwork, all of it signed by the same name in a child's looping scrawl. A.V. Alina Varghese. Paintings she didn't remember making. Horrific scenes of death that matched crime scenes from years before. Her mother's body, her missing father, face hollowed out. I didn't draw these, she whispered. The text light flickered. Detective, I think you did. Then came the moment that shattered reality, when the girl appeared behind them again, silently and said, "You gave him form. You needed someone to blame for what you saw." And Alina remembered the fire, her mother's screams, the way the black figure came only when she wanted someone gone. "I created him," Alina choked. "No," the girl said, "but you finished him." Suddenly, the drawings around them began to ripple, the ink moving, rising from the pages. "You have until dawn," the girl said. "Choose. Erase your childhood. Lose the memory. Forget the horror and he fades. Or remember everything, and he becomes real forever." The lights exploded. Ink poured from the ceiling, and a voice, not hers, but once hers, whispered, "Draw your decision." Alina looked down. A blank sheet had appeared in her hands, and the pencil was already moving. The pencil scratched across the page on its own, guided by some half-buried instinct, furious, unstoppable. Alina's hand trembled, resisting, even as the drawing took shape. Two girls in a burning house, one shielding the other, a black figure looming behind them. But this time, the tall father had no face. He was unfinished, incomplete. "Stop," she whispered, but her hand kept moving. The girl watched silently, arms folded like a judge at the edge of memory. "You give him teeth." Alina tore the paper in half. "Yes," the girl said, "but so do you. Your name, your case, your mother. You won't know how to stop him next time." "There is no next time," Alina snapped. "He'll find another witness, another child." The girl stared at Erblank, haunting, older than any child should be. "He doesn't pick children, he grows them." "Wait, what?" The girl stepped forward. The old drawings. The way the girl knew details of crimes from before she was born. "She's me," Alina whispered aloud. "She's a copy." The time-limited choice slammed into her like a hammer. Dawn was breaking. Reality was hardening around one decision. If Alina remembered, she would become the permanent anchor trapped in the tall father's story, a witness forever. If she forgot, the girl would remain trapped, instead frozen, in a never-ending cycle, carrying drawings she couldn't understand. The clock in the storage room ticked to 6 a.m. Alina reached out. The girl flinched. "I remember now," Alina whispered. "The night the fire started, I was hiding. You were drawing in the dark, weren't you?" The girl nodded. "He made me." "No," Alina said. "We made him." She reached into the trunk and pulled out the last drawing, the one her mother made when she was young. The same crude black figure, the same long limbs. It had started before Alina. Wait, what just happened? The truth upended everything. This wasn't a curse passed down. It was a pattern created by trauma, memory, and guilt. They were all fragments of a longer story, rewritten by fear. The room groaned. The drawings burned in a circle of spontaneous flame. And the tall father stepped forward, no longer ink but flesh, a mouth opened where his face should be. The girl turned to Alina, eyes no longer black, but wide with terror. "It's too late. You remembered too much." They were falling together. The world twisted sideways as Alina and the girl plunged through. The burning floorboards, not into fire, but into a void made of paper and ash. A collapsing universe sketched in graphite. Pages spun around them like falling leaves, each one a memory, a murder, a moment, a forgotten scream. Alina hit ground. With a jolt that knocked the wind from her, the girl landing beside her. They were standing in what looked like a child's bedroom, but the colors were flat, wrong, like they were trapped inside a drawing. Above them, The tall father descended, now fully formed, a creature of crawling lines and hollow thought, taller than any room could hold. His limbs moved like marionette strings being pulled by grief itself. His head twisted sideways and stared down with that yawning mouth of ink. "You drew me," he said, voice like tearing cloth. "You all did." Alina turned to the girl, her own memories clawing back in jagged fragments, her mother screaming, her father whispering things he was too afraid to explain, the fire, the drawings that appeared under her pillow after nightmares. "I didn't mean to make you," Alina whispered. "No one ever does," the tall father said. "But memory is fertile soil." Suddenly, the girl began to change as, flickering, hands scribbling in midair, drawing something invisible with frantic speed. "I can fix it," she said. "I can redraw the past. Just give me time." The tall father snarled, shadow arms reaching toward her. Alina stepped in the way. "Then take me instead." He paused. "You already belong to me. I remember everything now. But I don't regret it." She turned to the girl. "You don't have to carry me anymore. I'm not your echo, you're mine. You're the piece I left behind so I could survive. A real one. But there was only time for one to pass through." "I'm just a sketch," the girl said. "But you're the story." "No," Alina said. "We finish it together." But the tall father lunged. Alina shoved the girl through the doorway hard, just as his arms closed around her. The world flashed white, and then silence. In a hospital bed 3 days later, a young girl with no name awoke. No records, no history, but when the nurse asked what her name was, she answered without hesitation, "Alina." In her hand was a drawing. The tall father crossed out, and beneath it, in her own handwriting, "Don't draw him again." But in the far corner of the hospital room, a single crayon rolled off the table and drew a line on its own. The crayon rolled in a slow arc across the tile, carving a faint black line that shimmered briefly before vanishing like it had never been there at all. The girl Lena sat up in bed, staring at her hand, her fingernails rimmed with charcoal. Not yet. Nurses came and went, smiling, checking vitals, unaware that the girl's file was still blank. No name, no next of kin, no explanation for how she'd been found curled up in the charred ruins of Willow Ridge Elementary. The news called it a miracle. The detectives who came to interview her found nothing. No prints, no fire origin, no surviving footage from the cameras. She said softly, "It's a warning, not for me, for you." One of the detectives, a woman in a gray coat, paused. "Have we met before?" The girl tilted her head. "Do you remember me?" The detective blinked. "I don't know." Alina smiled faintly. "You will." A child hiding in the closet, a fire beginning in the corner, and outside the window, the faint shape of something watching, something she chose not to finish. The tall father's outline remained only half-formed in the center of the paper. She drew herself older, stronger, holding the hand of a small child with a terrified face, a mirror of the girl she used to be. "I remember now," she whispered. "I don't need to be afraid of you." But just as she folded the drawing closed, she noticed something new on the hospital TV, static, flickering, then an image, a live news report. Another child, another school, and in the child's hands, a sketch. One drawn in heavy black ink of a faceless man with arms too long, standing in a hallway. The reporter's voice cut through the static. authorities baffled by the chilling resemblance to a figure seen in earlier cases. Alina's heart dropped. Wait, what just happened? She reached for another blank page, but this time her hand wasn't alone. A small, inky fingerprint pressed itself beside hers. The tall father hadn't vanished. He had simply turned the page. End.